Well, thanks for stopping by. I'm glad you're here. Why not relax and listen to a story or two? It's our vagabond story, from our first RV renovation on to getting legal and finally getting a chance to travel a bit. And I tell you what, the traveling is great. Well, we're about finishing up with this renovation. There's only a few more tasks to finish. The old threadbare carpet and worn linoleum that came with the wheelie house whenever we bought it really can't be called beautiful. When Wendy saw it for the first time, she decreed that there shall be new flooring. However, flooring is sort of one of the last things to complete. So by now we're about ready to that point. Most things are finished up. The furniture is all put in place. A lot of the painting in the ceilings and on the walls is all finished up. It's time to think about that floor. We thought about what kind of a floor we would want to have in here. Carpet really doesn't seem like a good choice to us because, after all, this is camping. It's going to be a little bit dusty, a little bit dirty, a little bit muddy. Carpeting just seems like a really bad idea. So we spent some time trying to figure out exactly what to get. We went through and cleared up all of the old carpet and linoleum and took all that stuff and fed it to the trash bin, and kept on trying to decide what to get. As it turns out, for sort of untold centuries, one type of oak tree has yielded a renewable bark, and that bark has been used for lots of things. Cork for a wine bottle, stuff to put on your shoes to make them more comfortable, and as it turns out, flooring. I didn't really know that. Perhaps everyone else did, but I didn't. So, cork flooring. It looks like it has some good features. It's supposed to be quieting. It's supposed to be more or less insulative. And so we thought we'd give it a try. Why not? It's been used for many centuries. Probably it's not too bad. And it's renewable. You cut the bark off of an oak tree, a cork oak. Oh man, say that 6 times. And the cork just grows back. So seems like a really good idea. For the company, I called a outfit up in, I think, Canada called Cork and asked them about putting cork in an RV. Well, they told me that a few of their clients had put in cork flooring and had really pretty good luck. They had worked out a way to do things with special glue and special this and special that. So we thought we'd give it a try. There are some requirements for the subfloor. It can't be chipboard. It has to be some kind of plywood. Well, that was sort of the first problem. We didn't have plywood flooring, subflooring everywhere. In the part by the cab, the flooring was just a piece of chipboard. But sort of oddly enough, this chipboard was offset from the rest of the flooring by about 1/8 of an inch. whenever they put in the linoleum and carpeting in here originally, they just went right over that 1/8 inch as if it was not there. Okay. Anyway, I had some 1/8 inch plywood, put it down there, glued it up, put a bunch of tack nails in there to hold it in place. It seems to work just fine. So that was sort of the first step. One thing that we did learn about putting in cork flooring from the Cork people, they said don't use laminate flooring, laminate cork flooring. Use the actual cork tiles. They're about 1 by 2 feet. See, those actually work, whereas I guess the laminate cork flooring stuff has some problems of some kind. I didn't go into it with them. I just said, okay. Well, it is getting toward the end of fall here in Michigan. It's going to be cold pretty soon, so I had better get busy and do this flooring now. Of course, the first step is to figure out, where to put the cork flooring. So I spent, some good time on my hands and knees with a tape measure and a chalk line, trying to figure out exactly where we wanted to put things in place to make them all good. Lots of fun, that. But this glue that the Cork people told me to buy, that's expensive stuff. You really got to want it. So rather than just using cork as the flooring material, I thought I'd better get a little bit more hoity-toity. So I thought I would utilize the cork panels. Not only that, but a lot of times you're supposed to be super excited about this stuff. And when it costs a lot of money, I thought, yeah, I probably should be super excited. So I tried to do that. However, after spending an evening crawling around on the floor, getting things set up, my super excitement kind of dwindled down a little bit, and pretty soon it was just get busy and do it. And I decided, no matter how costly the glue is, I'm just going to use it. What can I say? So we put the first piece in, and then I laid a number of pieces in place to try and get a feel for how the cork panels would fit in. Like I said, they're about 1 foot by 2 feet in size. So I thought I would orient them long ways between the left and the right side of the wheelie house here. The idea being that it would somehow make the room look a little bigger. Maybe. I'm not really sure if it did or not. So I spent some time getting things set up, and then I got out that expensive glue and a trowel and went after it. I just followed the directions on the can. It's kind of interesting. I only used about a third of the can through the whole project. But you put the cork on, you put it on the subflooring, you wait a bit, and you put it together. I spent lots of fun time shaping the cork panels on the side of the wheelie house. Everything is not square, and so there was a lot of sort of custom angles and weird little things to put it all together. I was actually a little worried that it might start to look a little strange, but it all seemed to work out okay. It took me a couple of days, I think, to get everything laid down and cut into place. And then, of course, it was 3 or 4 days of waiting while the glue set up. Seems to have set up just fine. Then you get out this colored caulk, and you sort of caulk all the cracks and crevices where things didn't really quite fit together. But you know, the cork seemed to kind of meld itself together into a single sheet. And I didn't really have to use very much cork at all. Very much caulk at all. But I had bought uh, two containers of it, and I don't think I used but about a quarter of one container. Good way to spend money. Buy it and then never use it. Anyway, got that all done. Spent another 3 or 4 days letting everything dry out and get set up. And then I went and used this special polyurethane that Cork people said was what you should put on this kind of a floor. You have to mix it up, a little bit of this and a whole lot of that. And so I did all of those kinds of things, spread it all around. I put on kind of a generous helping of it. And it took another week or so for that stuff all to dry out. Interestingly, I used the air-to-air exchanger to kind of get the polyurethane smell out of the wheelie house. And that actually sort of worked. I was kind of surprised and sort of pleased that it actually came together. Well, whenever it all set up, we were ready to go ahead and use it, or maybe I should say utilize it. In any event, Wendy thought it looked pretty well, and it turned out that it really is easy to clean. Some years ago, Wendy had a client who had a cork flooring on a kitchen, and she said it really did work pretty well there, and it really did seem to work quite well here as well. Looking at this now from, I don't know, a couple years of use, this really held up. It hasn't given any trouble. It's just all good. The cork does feel cool in the wintertime when you put, bare feet on it. It's not like amazingly cold, but you can tell that it's cool. But after I turn the heater on in here and stuff like that, I kind of forget it. So I figure it's not too big of a deal. One of the first things we did as soon as the cork had set up and the polyurethane was dried out and it was all good, is we took the wheelie house for a roll down the highway. We wanted to see if it really does quiet things down. Well, it probably does. It's kind of hard to tell because there's lots of other noise generators whenever you're driving down the highway. But we didn't have to scream our conversation back and forth quite as much when we were out on the road driving at highway speeds. So it probably does help. Another interesting thing about the cork flooring, one day I must have dropped something, or a little rock or piece of gravel got in here and got under the slide out. And of course, when I opened the slide out, then this, whatever it was, dug up the cork a little bit. But, interestingly, unless I tell you about that and show you where the cork got dug up, you'd have to look carefully to see it. So the cork kind of, I don't know, heals itself at least a little bit. So that's kind of a nice feature. It's good for camping, I think, because it doesn't really show the troubles that you can get into as much as, say, a piece of linoleum, which would have been totally destroyed if I'd done linoleum like that in here. Would I use cork again? Yes. It's really nice. It's very attractive. It keeps the place looking clean. It's easy to wash things up. It doesn't show damage as badly as other things do. And yeah, a little bit more quiet. Even if it's a couple of decibels quiet, that's all good by me. The negative part about cork flooring is that it does weigh rather more than a piece of similar sized linoleum, for example. So you do have to keep that into consideration, and we did. So we just didn't have some parts that we used to have as far as weight was concerned. We had to get rid of some more stuff, which actually isn't that bad of a thing when you get doing it. So the cork worked out. There are a couple of other tasks to take care of in here. We got to deal with the over cab area and the cab area itself. And it's getting to be wintertime, so I decided, well, maybe I'll try the cab. But that's another story.